Good morning, everybody. So this is I've been delaying making this video because I'm very nervous, and I'm going to show you why I'm nervous, and we're just going to have to do it, and I'm going to try and be very careful. The words of the Chovos Halevovos. We left off with the concept of Chovos Halevovos says that you know if you don't believe in Hashem, you will believe in something else, right? We explained what that means, that believing in something other than Hashem is not real. People do it. We do it because we have to delude ourselves into thinking this world is some kind of orderly, structured reality because it's too we can't function otherwise. But the truth is that when we believe in other things, subconsciously, deep down, we know it's not real, etc. The Chovos Halevovos then goes on to explain one more aspect of how Hashem runs the world. Hashem, one who puts his trust in something that is not Hashem, Hashem removes his hashgacha, his divine providence, right? It's not really a good translation. There is no good translation of hashgacha, of hashgacha pratis in English, except for maybe direct individuality of Hashem's, interventionness. Hashem will remove it from that person, and he will place him biyad misha batachalov, into the hands of the one to whom he placed his trust. So, Jewish philosophy is extremely deep and extremely complex, and many finer points hinge upon one another. The devastation that can arise if somebody says something false is immense, since at a later point you may need to make a decision. And part of that decision might be informed by your understanding of Jewish philosophy. And if you have a wrong idea in your head, it can affect your whole decision-making process, your whole outlook. That's why it's extraordinarily important to not say something that might be false, right? Why we're so concerned in our yeshiva system with the idea of things being mukhrach. And there's a reason for that. In addition, some years ago, I don't remember where, but it's not so important because the quote is really, I'm just using it for impact. I heard a Rav who I can't remember his name, and he said that he heard from his Rebbe that the reason the Haskalah was so impactful in Europe, right? It devastated Klal Yisrael, was because the Jewish people, for whatever reason, it hadn't been taught to them properly. They hadn't passed it down Messiah properly. They did not understand the depth of Hashem's love for Klal Yisrael. I recall him saying, he said, if the Jewish people had appreciated the depth, just that one thing, if we had appreciated the depth of Hashem's love for Klal Yisrael, maybe certain individuals still might have gone off the derech. But as a klal, as a general thing that it swept through Klal Yisrael, it would not have happened, right? Remember, we're not talking about small numbers. According to Rav Victor Miller's book, the majority of Jews went off the derech, not the minority. It was actually the minority of Jews who stayed on the derech. So we're not talking, and that's what this Rav was expressing. And the truth is, whether or not, you like that quote or not, we don't really understand and appreciate Hashem's love. And we don't understand and appreciate Hashem's chesed. And I'm saying this for a specific reason. Because when we talk about the hashgacha of Hashem, how much of the world Hashem controls and how it works and what Hashem does, we have to understand that Hashem never, ever, ever does anything negative. Period. At all. And the only reason we ever think that Hashem does anything that is negative at all is because of our warped understanding, either because we suffered pain and as human beings we were unable to process it, so we sort of just pushed that blame onto Hashem. Well, Hashem controls the world and I'm suffering pain, so therefore Hashem is to blame. Or because we were taught wrong, which is a terrible thing, and any Rebbe who let his Talmidim get this message that Hashem hurts you or does bad things to you, or inherently in some way that it's negative, will have to answer for it. Because as we saw, The midah of simcha is totally in the understanding that Hashem, that just like a father who loves his child does something that's not negative, right? It's not negative, right? Just last night, I was driving in my car to a bar mitzvah, and a kid, a young little child, literally dashed out into the street between two cars. I missed him by inches. I was so frightened. My heart was like hurting over the experience. I had to pull over to the side of the road and stop for a few minutes. My heart was pounding. I had 3 kids. I was driving to the rest of the car. They were all screaming hysterically. One of them thought we hit the kid, right? The parent grabbed the kid, yanked him back, and whacked him. Is that parent a bad person? If that child would have the impression from that incident that the parent is bad, that would be very misguided. That whack was the smack of pure love. Of you have to know that you can never, ever run into the street. Death awaits you there. And so I have to associate this with like immediate pain. And maybe there could be another way, by the way. I'm not like advocating that as a parenting technique. That's just what happens. A Maisa Shaya. Right? So any person who has any impression that anything Hashem does is negative in any way is totally mistaken. The Sefer Derech Hashem says with clarity that Hashem's primary midah is chesed. I don't know what that means, but he says it. That was the midah that motivated Hashem to create the world. There are various midrashim that actually say that Hashem, Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey is actually his primary name, whatever that means again. Hashem, Hu Shmai, say Chazal. There's a Medrash Rabbah by Moshe that says that when Moshe asked Hashem to reveal himself, he revealed himself by this name. Like, this is Hashem's true essence. And what does the name Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey represent? It represents the midah of chesed. Hashem is kol kuloi chesed. That's it. There's nothing else there. The world was created only, says the Derech Hashem, for the fulfillment of this midah. The midah of chesed. All of the midos are also there, but this midah is the midah. That's it. It's chesed. It's all chesed. It's all love and chesed. So any negativity is not coming from Hashem. That's our perception. It's our warped perception, our lack of understanding. Hashem is only love, right? And one of the most powerful shmuzin I ever heard from my Rabbi Cohen, was the Medrash by Hosea, the Gemara over there, where it says that Hosea, sorry, it's not a Medrash, it's a Gemara. It says that Hashem went to Hosea and said, what should I do about Klal Yisrael? And Hosea was so distraught over what he saw that he couldn't bring himself to intervene on Klal Yisrael's behalf, which is what Hashem wanted him to do. And he said to Hashem, like, I see what they're doing, the way they rejected you in the face of all of your chesed. And he says to Hashem, you know what you should do? Havirim b'uma acharos. You should switch them for another nation. You should ditch them. And what is Hashem was so upset that Hashem goes through this whole crazy, mashal, not crazy in terms of Hashem, just an hour, like it sounds insane, where Hashem tells him that he has to go marry a Zona, and he has to have children, and he's not going to know if the children are his children. And then Hashem says to him, now I want you to divorce her. And if you can divorce her, I'll throw away Klal Yisrael. And Hosea says, how can I divorce her? I have children from her. I have this powerful connection to her. She's my wife. She's the mother of my children. How could I just ditch her? And Hashem says, so what do you think I feel about Klal Yisrael? They're my children. They're my ahuvim. They're my bnei ahuvim. Hashem says they're one of the things that in this world I consider to be like my personal thing. Hashem says I have 3, in that Gemara, Hashem says I have 3 personal possessions in this world that I consider to be like mine. Whatever that means. The whole world is Hashem. But Hashem says there are 3 things that I specifically have this like some deeper connection to. So Hashem, you know what they are? They're the Avos, the Torah, and Klal Yisrael. So this Hashem has this deep, deep love. Deep love for us. Now, love, what does that mean in terms of Hashem? Is Hashem's emotions are not even, I don't know. But Chazal tell us how we have to relate to Hashem, and it's clear that Chazal want us to view Hashem as having this deep, deep, abiding, powerful love for Klal Yisrael. So, that having been said, when we talk about Hashem, right, when we look at these words, and again, let's look at them carefully. Umi shaboteach bezulas Hashem meisr lekem ashkachaso me'alav u'miniach osa biyad mi shabatach alav. we have to understand how complicated these words are. Because if we chas v'shalom interpret these words improperly, it could sound like Hashem is punishing you or doing something negative to you. Hashem saying, "Oh, you don't want my right?" Like it almost sounds like Hashem saying, "Oh, you don't want my help? No problem. I'll back off. Let's see how you fare by yourself, buddy." And it's extraordinarily important to know that Hashem only does things that are positive for you. So we have to understand how this is positive, a positive thing. And we have to understand also what exactly does it mean that Hashem leaves you in the hands of the one you're b'teichin. Okay, so at this point, we're going to back up a quick second, and we're going to think, we have to talk for a minute about stam, the concept of hashgachas Hashem. It's really a confusing concept. In general, we have to know that nothing in this world, and I think most of us understand this, happens without Hashem's will. But I think many people have this misimpression, and if you don't, you'll forgive me, but I just want to address it, that Hashem created the world, and he sort of allows it to run while actively guiding things in it. Some things are more carefully guided, like, that's hashgacha pratis. Some things are less carefully guided. That's totally untrue. I heard from my Rebbe many years ago that, the reason we say in davening, Hamachadesh betuvay b'chol yom tamid masa bereshis, the word tamid is there to tell us that Hashem's active will causes the world to exist. Therefore, every single infinitesimally small moment, infinite moments that we can't measure because they're so tiny, Hashem it's as if he's recreating the world. Because each moment Hashem is injecting the energy necessary for the world to continue to exist. Meaning it's an active will of Hashem that causes it to exist. To put it a different way, I heard this beautifully from Rabbi Adam Zeldman. He said the following. He said, we look at certain things as rules of nature. And many people, even those who believe in Hashem, they think that Hashem created a rule. That's what they think. And he said that this is not a correct understanding. He said, when you drop a pen, the pen falls. It happens so consistently that after a while you think to yourself that Hashem created a law. It's called the law of gravity. Hashem created that law. So if I drop the pen, the law of gravity, which as a mammon, I accept that Hashem created that law, causes the pen to fall. He says, actually, that is a totally incorrect way to view it. What's really happening is that when you drop a pen, Hashem's active will, Hashem comes and he takes that pen and he moves it downward. And no matter what object you drop, Hashem is actively willing it to move in the way that it moves. But his perfection, his infinite ability to calculate everything at every given moment of time is so perfect that he moves things in such a way that they seem to be a rule. But he did not create a law. There is no such thing as the law of gravity. That is false. There are no laws of nature or reality. It is just that Hashem actively is doing everything in such a way that it's perfectly consistent. Human beings could not fathom or even understand the true depth of how that could even be. But that's what's happening. How deep does this go? So this is in line with the Gemara, who says, Hakol bidei shemayim chutz miyira shemayim. As I heard many times from my Rebbeim. A person cannot, I think this is actually, Chazal says, a person cannot even move his pinky without a gzeira from shemayim. And we have to understand what that means. We say a gzeira from shemayim. It doesn't mean once the gzeira goes out, so now your pinky can move. You are not capable of actually moving your pinky. This is, what's happening right now is not actually something that a human being is capable of doing. Because this whole physical reality isn't capable of existing. Hashem, when I decide to move my pinky, imbues this world with energy such that my pinky moves. This is literally Hashem right now doing this. I'm not doing this. It looks like I am doing this. I am not. I'm not capable of it. This is Hashem right now. Hashem is doing this. There's a reason that I'm stressing this. Because no matter what happens in this world, it is only happening Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is actively willing it to happen. Thus, and this is where things become difficult, and we have to understand that everything is chesed and everything is love. Thus, if someone punches you in the face, that person did not punch you in the face. He is not capable of punching you. Only Hashem is capable of that person's body moving in such a way that his fist impacts your face. He cannot do it. He simply doesn't have the ability. He doesn't have the ability to do anything. He's just an empty rag doll, as is everything in this world, from rocks to trees to plants to animals to humans. But Hashem's active will that animates him caused his fist to come and crash into your face. So what did he do? So then, what is Bechira? What is anything? Right? This is why this is so complicated. So the answer is that he made the choice. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants his face to be hidden. Haster aster upon him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Yeah, I know that's said in reference to other things, but it's really for everything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants his presence in this world to be hidden. Therefore, he causes the world to run in such a way that when you decide something, he causes that decision to come to fruition. It would certainly be very difficult to not believe in Hashem if I decided to eat a cheeseburger and Hashem just didn't allow my hand to move and put the cheeseburger in my mouth. That would be a very strange world, because I would know that Hashem exists. Because if I try to do an avero, which is bad for me, Hashem's like, nope. I'm like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to eat this cheeseburger. Oh, I can't. What's going on? Oh, Hashem's not letting me do it. Okay, so then I believe in Hashem, right? So Hashem causes me to put the cheeseburger, chas v'shalom, in my mouth and eat it. So when you think about it, by the way, that's like a crazy thing. It means if a person takes a piece of treif meat and puts it in his mouth, he didn't take the treif meat and put it in his mouth. He decided to eat treif meat. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu took that treif meat, because Hashem is the one who moves his hand. Hashem picked up the treif meat. Hashem put the treif meat in his mouth. Hashem caused his mouth to chew it. Hashem caused his taste buds to be active, to cause him to experience that pleasure. That's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu who did that. Why would Hashem do that? Why would Hashem cause? Because Hashem is so committed to this project called Planet Earth, like to this project called like the creation of our universe and our world. He's so committed to this idea that we should have Bechira, that he will allow people's choices to come to fruition. Right? And the truth is, on a simplistic, shallow level, this answers all questions that are extremely difficult to answer. Such as, for instance, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad people have great lives? Right? In light of this, all of those questions are simple and easy to answer. This world is filled with temptation. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it, he was well aware of that. And Hashem said, I'm not creating this world to exist only according to, what I want. Rather, the world is created. I am really doing this. I am creating a world with beings capable of making their own choices and of living their own lives. And they may not choose what I want, but they have to have free choice so that those who do choose what I want can earn reward truly. And the only way that can happen, that can be possible, is if it's not clear in this world that their choices are not impactful, meaning it has to be believable that their choices are really impacting reality. That has to be something that they could believe. Therefore, says Hashem, in order to facilitate that, even if people choose to do bad things, I will allow their bad plans to come to fruition so that they can now believe that, oh, there must not be a God. Look, I chose to do something bad and it worked. So it can't be Hashem in that case, right? But it's only Hashem who causes it to happen in an active way, right? Similarly, if bad people, if we looked at the world and we were like, wow, look at that. Every single person who does good, even if he's bad with his finances or whatever, or doesn't go out and try and become rich, but any person who does mitzvos ends up being incredibly rich, has all the luxuries that a person could want, and has the greatest life ever. That's amazing. And look at that. Every person who does Averos, even if he's a genius in business and smart and intelligent and makes all the right decisions to make money, but because he's a Baal Avera, every single Baal Avera is living in like mud huts and squalor and like has the most disgusting, terrible life, and his body is covered in boils and lice and blisters. And wow, well, then this world would clearly consistently be working only according to one rule, not the rule of actually you can do whatever you want and the results will be according to your choices seemingly without consequence, therefore making it hard for you to decide. You would say, oh, it's very obvious what happens in this world. You do good things, life's great. You do bad things, life's awful. That's very clear. So then who would ever choose to do anything bad? That's ridiculous. So, and again, this is very shallow because it doesn't answer the emotional component, and obviously greater people than me, much greater people than me, have struggled with these questions. But on a shallow level, what's your question? Why do good things happen to bad people? Well, imagine if they didn't happen to bad people. What kind of a ridiculous world would it be? Talk about Bechira? Ooh, that cheeseburger tasted so good. I wonder all of a sudden why my hand is numb and paralyzed and I can't move it. What just happened? I ate a cheeseburger and all of a sudden my hand doesn't work? Man, I guess nobody's ever going to eat a cheeseburger again. That'll be a ridiculous world. What will be the point of it? So we have to understand that this world is truly a place of freedom. But that freedom is only a result of Hashem's active will, causing the bad choices that we make to come to fruition. Right? If an African warlord decides to shoot an innocent man somewhere in the Congo, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He may have chosen to shoot that guy. Hashem was the one who allowed his body to pick up that gun, to pull that trigger. HaKadosh Baruch Hu caused the explosion. It's not real. It looks like science to us. That's not true. The whole chemical reaction is Hashem directly. Hashem caused the hammer to strike the I forgot what it's called, and Hashem causes the chemical to react. That's Hashem's active will. Hashem is literally taking the bullet and moving it with his active mind, whatever, and causing it to enter that person. That's it. It's all Hashem. Okay. And every bit of it is love. Every bit of it is chesed. And of course, again, the simple answer is you say, well, how is that chesed? Because if this world was not consistent in a way that people can choose and see that their choices lead to the results that they chose, then we wouldn't be capable of being true Balei Bechira. I don't know, again, you might say like, well, why couldn't Hashem adjust for that? That's complicated and that's a different discussion, and I believe I can answer that question, but it would require a discussion on the Derech Hashem. But for the purposes of understanding this line of Chovos Halevovos, and we're going to have to stop here and continue next time, but for purposes of understanding this line of Chovos Halevovos, this is what we have to know. The greatest chesed, the ultimate chesed, the greatest act of love, is for us to have the actual ability to have bechira, which means that we can choose good, we can choose bad, and we can earn reward. And therefore, Hashem allows the bad choices that people make to come to fruition in this world. Also that we will think, hey, people's choices are meaningful. I can choose bad, and that's a meaningful decision. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu causes it to come to fruition. That's the greatest chesed. So therefore, my choices feel real to me. They feel real and meaningful, and they are, by the way. They are real, they are meaningful. And so now I have a real challenge. I know that I'll experience pleasure if I go and choose to do the Avera. And I know that I'll experience, I imagine that I'll be happier if I have more money. So I have a real test. Should I go and steal it? If I knew that those choices were not impactful, they had no impact on reality, no matter what I choose, Hashem's just going to do whatever you want. So then I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to earn reward anymore. So Hashem has to make it that it's difficult for us to fathom how our choices are not reality. They're only in our head. And if we would truly appreciate that, then of course we would only choose to do good things. We only choose to do mitzvos. So, in light of that, let's get back to this line. Biad misha batachalav. Right? These words here. Biad misha batachalav. Hashem never leaves you in the hands of anything, because it's just not the way the world runs. Hashem's active willpower is always causing everything to happen. You might choose it, but it's always Hashem's active will. So now we need to ask the question. When it says that Hashem removes his hashgacha from you and leaves you in the hands of the one who you're boteach in, what could those words possibly mean? When we know that this world only exists because Hashem's active willpower is allowing it to exist. What could that mean? If someone punches you, it's because he might have chosen to punch you, but Hashem's active willpower caused the next set of events to happen. So what could it possibly mean when we say what could that mean? If something happens, it's because Hashem willed it. All right, we're going to stop here because this video is already too long. But this is why this is so complicated. And honestly, I'm nervous. And if I said anything wrong, I take the blame on myself. And I hope that you will reach out to me and contact me. Please let me know if you think I said something wrong, or maybe I was just unclear, but I'll try and address it in my next video. But this is very, very dangerous because we cannot falsely represent the Torah, misrepresent Hashem. We cannot do that. And so we really have to be careful, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is never truly abandons a person. There's no such concept. I don't want to say Hashem's not capable of it. That's not what I mean. Hashem doesn't do it. That's not the way this world is formulated. This world is formulated that if Hashem is not actively controlling your body with his will, it doesn't move. Nothing happens. Nothing in this world, it would cease to exist. If Hashem left you alone, you don't exist. Everything that exists is existing because of an active will of Hashem. All right, that's the end. So we will try and answer this question next time. Bezras Hashem Yisbarach.